Hi friends, welcome to your first recorded video from my kitchen. Today we're going to read The Night Before Thanksgiving, and then we're also going to make our Thanksgiving story bracelet. So you're going to need to get the baggie out with your white pipe cleaner and your colored beads. And then you're also going to need the little book that's called I Can Retell the Story of the First Thanksgiving. So we're going to do those together after I read this story. The Night Before Thanksgiving by Natasha Wing and illustrated by Tammy Lyon. "'Twas the night before Thanksgiving, and all through the nation, families got ready for the big celebration. At our house, my mom baked 3 kinds of pies, pecan and pumpkin and apple sunrise. That night we were nestled all snug in our beds, while visions of turkey legs danced in our heads. The very next morning, Thanksgiving, yippee! We got up and watched the parade on TV. Relatives arrived from near and far, by taxi and airplane, by train and by car. My brother came up the basement stairs, lugging the kids' table and folding chairs. We counted and polished our best silverware, and then set the 2 tables with patience and care. The turkey went in as more cousins came. I laughed and I shouted and called them by name. Hi Danny, hi Donnie, hi Paula and Vicky. Hi Casey, hi Kathy, hi Brenda and Ricky. Come in from the porch, step into the hall. Now come and play, come and play, come and play all. So up to my room, my cousins, they flew. We played with my toys and computer games too. We made pilgrim hats and funny shoe buckles, then put on a skit for our aunts and our uncles. All were assembled except Uncle Norm, who called us to say he was stuck in a storm. Meanwhile, my mother was getting out yams, cranberry jelly, and honey-baked hams. When Mom wasn't looking, we stuck olives on fingers, said they were puppets and grand opera singers. While dinner was cooking, we played dodgeball outside. Our tummies were growling. Can we eat yet? We cried. The timer then sounded. The turkey was cooked. Mom opened the oven. She sniffed and she looked. When what to our watering mouths should appear but a marvelous bird, which caused us to cheer. Its skin, oh so golden, the drumstick so juicy. The stuffing was fluffy, thanks to my Aunt Lucy. Dad slid out the bird. It weighed 30 pounds. He turned, then he tripped over one of our hounds. Uh-oh. Up in the air, the turkey did fly, over the string beans and straight for a pie. My brother and I made such a clatter as we leapt and caught the bird on a platter. All right, said Grandpa, get on with the carving. Can't you see that these people are starving? Dad spoke not a word, but went straight to his work. He sliced up the turkey, then turned with a jerk. In front of our house, we heard beeps of a horn. A trucker delivered, none other than Norm. With a wink of his eye and a twist of his head, the party can start. I made it, Norm said. We all took our places. The food smelled so great. We started to dig in, but Dad said to wait. We are thankful that everyone is together this year, in our home and our hearts, where we hold you so dear. Uh-oh. Here we go. We ate and we ate, yet last but not least, the very next day was a leftovers feast. The end. All right, now we're gonna go ahead and make our Thanksgiving story bracelet. So you're going to need your pipe cleaner, your bag of beads, and your book that says I Can Retell the Story of the First Thanksgiving. And what we're going to do is we're going to string a bead onto our pipe cleaner with every page that I read from our story. And at the end, we're going to make this into a bracelet, and that way you can retell the story of the first Thanksgiving to one of your relatives at Thanksgiving, either on FaceTime or in real life. And then you can also color the pages in the book once we're all finished. So let's get started. Go ahead and get out your black bead, and I'm going to read the first page. In 1620, the Pilgrims left their home in England for religious freedom. If you remember, we read lots of books about the Pilgrims. Those Pilgrims, they wore different clothes than we did. They were more brown, white, dark green, and they wore those big black hats. The boys wore the big black hats, and the girls wore those white bonnets. They wore different clothes than we did a really long time ago. So what they wanted is they sailed over here. They wanted to come to America to find religious freedom. So they wanted to be able to practice whatever kind of religion that they wanted to. And in England, they weren't allowed to do that. So go ahead and get out your black bead and string it onto your pipe cleaner. And you're going to want to hold it at the very end so they don't all come off, because at the very end, once we have all of our beads on there, we're going to make it into a circle and twist the ends together. They sailed, you can go ahead and flip to the next page. They sailed on a ship with white sails called the Mayflower. So they sailed on a really big ship, and it had white sails on it. And what you're going to do is you're going to get out a white bead, and that will help you remember that they sailed on a big ship with white sails called the Mayflower. Go ahead and flip to your next page. The trip across the ocean took 66 days. That's over 2 months. It's a really long time. So it took them 66 days, and they've sailed across the ocean. So you're going to get out your 3 blue beads. You're going to string all 3 of those blue beads on after each other. So now you have your black bead that represents they wanted to come to America for religious freedom. They sailed on a ship with white sails, and then their trip took 66 days across the ocean. It's a long time. Go ahead and flip to your next page. They made it to the New World, and they called their home Plymouth because they landed on Plymouth Rock. So they finally found land, and they were so excited, and they called it Plymouth. So you can go ahead and get out your one green bead. There's 2 in there. Get out 1 green bead to represent the new land that they found. So they sailed, and then once they got to the new land, they named it Plymouth. Go ahead and turn to your next page. The first winter was really long and cold. Remember, I told you that they got there in the wintertime and they didn't have warm coats, they didn't have warm homes, they just got to a new land and they didn't know what to expect. So their winter was really long and really cold, and some of them got really sick and they didn't survive. So it was a really harsh winter for them because they needed food and warmth and shelter, and they didn't have it. So go ahead and get out the rest of your white beads. You should have 3 left. And you're going to string those on after your green bead. And those are going to represent the really long and hard winter that they had once they got to America. Go ahead and flip to your next page. In the spring, because we know that spring is the season that comes after winter, in the spring, a Native American, and we've read books about the Native Americans, their clothes looked very different from ours. They had deerskin dresses or deerskin pants, and they made their clothes from the animals or the plants that they lived off of. So they had very different clothes. But the Native Americans, they met them after the long winter, and they met a special one named Squanto. Remember we read about Squanto? And Squanto taught them how to survive. So Squanto taught them how to hunt. And remember, we talked about hunting for food means you go and look for food to kill it, like an animal, like rabbits, deer. They also hunted for fish and scallops in the sea. And they also taught them how to gather food and how to plant food, like squash, corn, pumpkins. So they taught them how to hunt and gather food to help them survive. So go ahead and get out your other green bead and your brown bead. And you can put either the brown one or the green one first. It doesn't matter. You're going to put both of those beads on to represent the springtime and the Native Americans teaching them how to survive. Go ahead and turn to the next page. This should be your last page, or second to last page. To celebrate the harvest, and remember we talked about harvesting means that you can pick the fruits and vegetables. They're ready to be picked and eaten. To celebrate the harvest in the fall, because we know in the summertime they're still growing and we harvest those things in the fall, They had a feast, a big, 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 big dinner to celebrate with pumpkins and cranberries and corn and turkey and all those good, yummy foods that we see at Thanksgiving. So go ahead and get out the rest of your beads. You should have a red, orange, and a yellow bead. And those represent the different kinds of foods that they had. Red for cranberries, orange for pumpkins and squash, and yellow for corn. So they taught them and they celebrated the Native Americans, teaching them how to survive, and they had a big feast together. So here's all of your beads together, and if you can remember the story by looking back at all of your beads, and you can tell a relative all about the first Thanksgiving, and you probably need an adult to help you to bend this all the way into the shape of a circle, and then your adult can help you by twisting the ends of your pipe cleaner together to make a circle. And you can wear this as a bracelet, and when you see your relatives on Thanksgiving, you can tell them the story of the first Thanksgiving that you learned at school. Well, that's it for our video today, and I'm so excited to see you guys on the computer tomorrow. It's been so fun. I'm looking forward to our Thanksgiving break, but I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy making your Thanksgiving bracelet. Have a great day, friends.